Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we're going to be talking about Aqua. But before we do, we just want to remind you to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can see all our videos as they come up. We have a lot of really fun things, convention vlogs that we do, top 10 lists, and eventually our top 100 games of all time. So you definitely want to make sure to subscribe. Okay, so Aqua is designed by father-son duo Dan and Tristan Halstead. It has Vincent DuTrait art, and it is published by The Op.
All right, so in this game, you essentially are your own little coral reef. You are trying to build that reef as much as possible to attract lots of small animals, which will eventually attract large animals, all while trying to keep up your biodiversity, keep the ecosystem going. Let me give you a quick overview of how to play. All right, here's our setup for Aqua. We've got kind of a lot of different tiles going on. Let me kind of walk you through some of these. This is going to be our starting tile that we're going to be adding on to. Here's all of our different coral tiles. Those are the tiles that we're going to be drafting to add on to our starting tile. All these kind of rectangle tiles here, those are our ecosystem tiles. Those are going to be a way that we can score at the end of the game. Those are currently 6 of them out there. Those are like the starting ones. There's actually a whole bunch of them out there. We're going to be able to randomize those once you're more familiar with the game and have a whole bunch of different scoring opportunities once you're more familiar. All these stacks here are randomly assigned to each one of these ecosystems, and these are all the small animals that we are trying to attract to our coral reef. If we are able to build a hexagon of a certain color, we're going to attract one of those small animals to our board matching that color. These were also all randomly assigned to all these different ecosystems. These are going to score based off of those animals that were randomly assigned to them. Again, I'll get to that a little bit later. And lastly, we have the large animal tiles. Those are going to be our big point getters. They're a little bit harder to get, but they're worth it. We're going to take turns being the first player with this sea snail. This is something that you can draft, actually, to become the first player. The person who sets up this row, it becomes the first player, but they also are going to put that snail out there, showing that can be bid on for the next turn. All right, so it's our turn. We were the first player. Let's go ahead and draft one of these tiles. This one looks good. And we're going to add it onto our board, making sure that at least one of the sides matches one of the sides of our starting tile. Now the next person in line has either a chance to draft one of the other tiles that they want, or they could draft the snail to ensure that next turn they'll be able to go first. But no matter what, after every player has taken their turn, we're going to have a chance to refresh the row of tiles that we're going to be drafting from. All right, so the first player maybe takes this tile. The next player takes this tile. On our turn, let's go ahead and take this tile. What we have done is we have made a red hexagon. So what we have the opportunity to do, we can take that little red crab, put him on our board. That's going to be worth 2 points at the end of the game, which is fantastic. All right, I'm going to do one more example here. Same thing, we're going to have 4 out there. Basically, what you put out there is the number of players plus 1. So we're kind of simulating a 3-player game here. On our turn, let's go ahead and take this. Let's put it right there. We have now finished a blue hexagon, which means we get to draft one of these jellyfish. So we were 3 points at the end of the game. But now what we've done is we've also set up an area where we have 2 different animals next to each other. This is where all of the large animals start to kick in. What you can do at this point is you can choose to place one of these large animals or not. They're all different shapes. The bigger and more complicated the shape is, the more points it's worth at the end of the game. Just for sake of example, let's take this little small one here. These are double-sided, but they're both worth the same side either way. It's just kind of what artwork do you want to see on your board. And you're going to lay it over top of these small animals that you've placed. Now, one trick is they need to have what's called biodiversity, meaning it needs to be on top of multiple colors. We can't just have like a red and another red. It needs to be a red or a blue. Whatever the case is, every tile that a large animal is underneath needs to be different. This is not a mandatory step. Remember, you can keep on building out and kind of save up for one of those bigger, larger animals. They're worth more points. There are 2 or 3 of each one of those stacks based on the number of players, and kind of a first come, first serve. The higher ones at the top of the stack are worth more points than the ones lower down. This one was 5 points. Now the next one in that shape is only worth 4 points. So that's basically how the game's going to go. We're going to be drafting on those tiles, kind of bidding on first player as well, trying to get as many small animals as possible, as well as getting as many large animals as possible using that biodiversification. There is one other thing that you can try to score for, and that is a habitat. A habitat is a shape that has at least 4 different kind of sections of a tile in play. So in this case, we've got 4 purples there, which means we made a purple habitat. At the end of the game, we're going to be able to score points based off of all of these small animals touching that purple habitat. So you can grow it as large as you want, and you can have as many animals touching it as you can to maximize your points. The scoring at the end of the game is a little weird, but there's a really nice kind of score pad here to kind of walk you through it as well. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to score any large animals you have. Whatever that shell value is, you're going to score that. But then you're also going to remove it from the board, uncovering all of your small animals. So that's the next thing we're going to score, is all our small animals. In this case, we've got 5 points showing there. Next, we're going to go to our reefs, our little habitats that were created. This is purple reef here, so we're worth 2 points. 1 and 1. Again, this is just a small example showing what could happen. Your board will be a lot bigger than this, but just as an example. All right, and then lastly, we're going to go through all of these different ecosystems, and we're going to score each one of them one at a time. And remember, they're usually going to have to do with the associated randomly assigned smaller animal. All right, this particular one says, for every small native animal, which is the native animal is the one that's kind of assigned to it, you're going to get 1 point per some other small animal adjacent to it, which includes itself. So in this case, we do have one of these jellyfish. We do have one thing adjacent to it, so we'd get 1 point based on that ecosystem. And for our starting tiles, all of these kind of work similarly, but all we really have to work with is the red crab here. So let's go to that one over here. This one says, for each bottlenose dolphin or dugong you have, score 3 points for each of the small native animal we have. Well, in this case, we never really built up to that shape, but we would go to that. We would say we've got 2 of those, let's say, so we're going to have 2 times 3, which would be worth 6 points. And you'd go through each one of those categories, and you'd score them all individually. The more advanced tiles are a lot more complicated, but they're also a lot more fun to work towards, a lot of points opportunities as the game goes on. But what you're going to do is you're going to add up all your points and score them on your score pad from all the different categories, add them up, and whoever has the most points wins the game.
I thought the bidding on this was really fun and interesting. You want certain colors, you want certain corals because you're trying to do certain things or get scoring parameters, but also you can forfeit getting something good to get that first player marker. And so I just like that that's always available and that's always out there. So you can try to hope that something good would happen, but if you know you need something, you can just like forfeit this turn. You don't forfeit, but in order to do better the next time, I don't know. I thought that was really cool.
I think this is a really fun puzzle in terms of trying to figure out how to set up your little area. I mean, do you want to just make hexagons so you can attract animals? Or maybe you want to have some of those larger pieces, those larger areas that are going to be based off of your reefs that you are able to score points based off of things touching them. And then, trying to set it up for, do you just go for some small of the larger animals? Or do you go for the biggest of the large animals and get maximum amount of points? But it's a lot harder to do. I love that puzzle, trying to solve that as it happens in real time. You don't do a lot of hate drafting. There's just too much going on with your own board.
You're not looking at other people.
But I guess you could, but it'd be
It's not on purpose.
Yeah, you'd have to be really studying and slow the game down. But yeah, I love all of those little miniature decisions you make as the game goes on.
Speaking of miniature decisions, I really liked the ecosystem tile. So your scoring parameters for the end of the game. So they have a set that you play with the first time you play. Start with these. So we started with those, and then we started adding in some other stuff. Oh my gosh. You can't do it all.
It gets out of hand fast.
Oh my gosh. We got so many zeros every single time we played. I didn't even get close to that metric. I didn't even get one of those animals. It was just so silly. But there's like Ryan was talking earlier, you're not really watching the other person. You're just really trying to focus on your own board. And all of those scoring things, there's a lot of different routes and paths that you can take.
All right. From a production standpoint, I gotta say, this is a home run. I mean, starting with just the box cover, right? This is this gorgeous art. The tiles themselves are nice and thick and chunky, very clear to look at and read. But even on the inside of the box, look at this box lid.
Yeah.
They did not skimp even on that. The same thing with the box bottom. There's a little insert that you build, and it just looks so great when it's all said and done.
And it laid it out in the box, right?
Yeah, it tells you exactly where to put each individual component. I love it when games do that. I don't have to worry about which components go in which little section. This is a great production. Super thick tiles, fantastic look on the table, all laid out. The box itself is gorgeous. This is a work of art.
This game was really fun. I had a great time playing it. I really like tile laying games, and I like, recently I've been playing a lot of tiles on top of tile games, and that's just a really fun concept of having to think ahead and build for that. This was a lot of fun. If you ever get a chance to check this out, I totally would.
I agree 100%. She mentioned tiles on top of tiles. I love that kind of amount of planning that comes into that. I love that kind of stuff. This looks fantastic. It plays fantastic. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Turns are snappy. I mean, this is a keeper. This is definitely a game that we're going to be playing for a long time. This is a fun one.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. And don't forget to find us in all of these places and follow.
You guys, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.